Welcome to the channel. Today, I want to talk about the importance of being prepared for an economic crisis. The world is unpredictable, and no one knows when the next disaster will strike. But what we can do is to be ready for it. You might be thinking that being prepared for an economic crisis is a waste of time and money. But trust me, when the situation arises, you will wish you had spent that extra dollar to secure your future. That's why I am here to guide you on how to spend your first $1,000 wisely. The purpose of this is not to turn you into a survivalist and live like Rambo in the wilderness. Instead, we are going to focus on stocking up on supplies that will help you shelter in place for at least a month or so. This means having enough food and water to sustain yourself and your family. The first thing you should do is to buy at least $100 worth of shelf-stable food. This includes dried beans, rice, peas, powdered milk, vegetable oil, salt, sugar, and canned goods. You want to focus on items that have a long shelf life and are easy to store. You might also want to invest in canned goods that have different types of meat in them. If you're storing pasta, get some pasta sauce that already has meat in it. These items will provide you with the necessary nutrients to keep you going during a crisis. I know that $1,000 is a lot of money, but it's a small price to pay for peace of mind. And with tax returns coming up, this could be the perfect time to invest in your future. Remember, being prepared for an economic crisis is not just about survival, but it's also about mental and physical health. So let's take the first step towards securing our future today. I know firsthand the importance of being prepared for an economic crisis. With prices skyrocketing and the economy in turmoil, it's important to have a plan in place to ensure your survival. And that plan starts with the basics: food and water. In my opinion, having food is a very good place to start. But you can't survive on food alone. You also need water. And that's where the aquitainers comes in. These water containers are affordable, easy to use, and versatile. They come with a spigot that makes it easy to dispense water for drinking, washing your hands, washing dishes, and even brushing your teeth. And with each container holding around 7 gallons of water, you can have enough water for one person for around 3 weeks with just 3 containers. Of course, it's important to be careful with your water supply, especially if you're short on water. But with the aquitainers, you can make those tasks a lot easier. And if you supplement your supply with some bottled water that you rotate through, it wouldn't be too terribly hard to make that last around a month for one person. But water alone isn't enough. You also need to make sure that your water is safe to drink. And that's where a gravity filter comes in. With a few basic tools and some inexpensive materials, you can build a gravity filter that will remove things like sediment, microplastics, bacteria, and protozoa from your water. And if you need to remove viruses, you can either use bleach or boil the water. So if you want to be prepared for an economic crisis, start by stocking up on food and water. And if you want to make sure your water supply is safe, build a gravity filter. With a little bit of preparation, you can ensure your survival no matter what comes your way. In these times of uncertainty, it's essential to be self-sufficient and have access to the things that matter the most. It's not just about having a stockpile of food and water, but it's also about having the ability to charge up flashlights and other essential devices. If you have cordless power tools, then you're already one step ahead. You'll be able to charge those batteries to make repairs or to build fortifications. Because let's face it, using egg beater drills and handsaws is not only inefficient but also incredibly time-consuming. But with cordless power tools, you'll be able to get the job done much quicker. And you can also use them to recharge other batteries like AA, S, and D. Cells like I use those in my motion sensors that I have near my house. And let's not forget about solar power. It's an excellent option for those who are concerned about longer-term situations because you're not going to have to store fuel for them. You'll be able to have access to your pictures also, and that's always a good thing. Now, if you want a gas-powered option, there are things available for around the $450 mark. But the thing with that is, you got to consider how much fuel you're going to be able to store because gas cans themselves, aren't you? And if you get a gas-only generator, which is what most of the more inexpensive ones tend to be, then you're going to have to either get fuel stabilizer or rotate that gas fairly regularly. And even if you do use fuel stabilizer, you're still going to need to keep track of how old that gas is. I recommend that people pick up some rechargeable batteries for whatever devices they have. I have stuff that uses AA's and AAA's, and you can find a nice little kit that has those and a charger for around $40 or so, give or take. And if you have things like this lantern that uses D cells, then you want to pick up some of those. And now, let's talk about defense. Some of y'all are probably at least a little bit irritated that I haven't mentioned defense yet. But the truth is, by the time you spend the money on something decent like a G19 or an M and P shield, or on the other side of things like M and P Sport, by the time that you pay for that plus the ammo that you would need to train on it, get familiar with it, and then also set aside for a rainy day training that you would need to pay for if you've never used anything like that before. And also range fees, cleaning supplies, this, that, and the other, that alone could cost $1,000. If you're in a situation where you don't have any of that yet, then yeah, it might be worth going for something like the solar generator to pick up something so you can at least defend yourself. Videos like this are only meant to be a guide. Always do what's best for you and your particular situation. Use your best judgment. Now, if you have followed everything to a T so far, you probably have some money left over. Remember, being prepared for an economic crisis is not just about spending money. It's also about being resourceful and using what you already have to your advantage.